Good evening. This is the news. Also, thank you very much for tuning into the Halloween special. And if you haven't watched it, watch it. This is the news. California Governor Gavin Newsom was caught on video running over a child during a pickup basketball game during his trip to China, in what was the latest example of a politician plowing through a young Asian boy.
All right. Former CNN anchor Brian Stelter has detailed Tucker Carlson's firing from Fox News in his new book titled Network of Lies. As a follow-up, Stelter now plans to tell the story behind his own exit from cable news, titled I'm Gross.
All right. Friends star Matthew Perry died at the age of 54 over the weekend. Perry grew up in Ontario and actually went to high school with Justin Trudeau. Upon hearing the news of his passing, Trudeau announced a countrywide moment of blackface.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was nice.
Touching. After facing conservative backlash over spokesperson Dylan Mulvaney, Bud Light is attempting a comeback, focusing on concerts and sporting events. This is a departure from their old marketing strategy of preying on human suffering.
Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling said she'd happily serve prison time in the UK for refusing to say trans women are women. Upon hearing this, many of the female inmates could barely hide their erections.
A UCLA study has found that Gen Z Americans want to see fewer people of color represented as villains in TV and motion pictures, to which Hollywood executives responded, "What fucking movies have you been watching?"
And welcome to Normal World. I'm Dave Landau, and today we are joined by special guest, Matt McClowry.
I'm Matt McClowry.
And of course, we have Angela.
Hi, of course.
How are you, Angela?
I'm great.
How was your Halloween?
Spooky.
Ooh.
We watched the new Exorcist movie.
How was it?
Terrible.
I had a feeling.
It was not good.
But you know what? You were spot on about Hellraiser.
Right? Wasn't it good?
Yes, it was.
I enjoyed it.
I did not think it would have been, but I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Well, good.
I felt bad for that guy almost.
A little.
Yeah.
But like...
He deserved it, but also you're like...
That's bad.
A few years with that in you. Oof. I know you didn't see it.
No, I caught the very beginning of Halloween 4 on AMC, right before nodding off to bed.
I like that.
You like that
the
one?
one that Michael's not in?
No, Michael's in this one.
3.
It's just Michael, Donald Pleasance, no Jamie Lee Curtis, and a little deaf girl.
Oh, it's the little deaf girl one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Donald Pleasance is... I believe he's blackout drunk in all of them except for one. And the rest of them, he's just making money to afford his wine habit. He's pretty honest about it, too. Like, he's just hammered in all of them. Like, Michael, right? You're like, why is he stumbling up the stairs? You're like, I think they had to fake shoot him just to do the scene.
Is that an acting choice?
Yeah, he's like, Michael.
I'm a classically trained Shakespearean actor. I didn't want this.
I just took the role. I'd needed the money for an... Well, you'd think, too, it was like a slasher film that hadn't been made yet. Mm-hmm. Then he saw what it was and was probably like, what have I done? And then by part 5, I think he died after
You'd think
4.
you'd do it as a lark. It's a job, but then it catches on, and then you're trapped in it forever.
And now you're just Dr. Loomis. What are you going to do? It's not the worst thing, though.
No.
You could be the guy who played Mike Myers. Where you're just whatever that is.
You could be Michael Myers.
That's true. You could actually be the kid.
You could have made the Love Guru.
That's the worst.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could have made a movie that ruined your career to the point that nothing will save you. He hasn't been able to come back.
No.
He says it's the happiest time of his life now because he has children, though.
That's
He's on the
good.
Gong Show.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Dana Carvey has made a resurgence, and Michael Myers has sort of...
Well, yeah, I mean, he always seemed outside of those other guys, and I just found out that he didn't... I noticed he never did a sketch with Adam Sandler because apparently he didn't think Adam Sandler was funny. But he got along with him very well. And like when Adam Sandler found out he was having kids, he sent him this like really beautiful text that he said was like the most beautiful thing he'd ever heard about how when you have kids, it's like being in love for the first time when you're 12 years old, but you just feel that way all the time. You find this part of your house that you didn't know you had, and it's inside your own heart, which is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard from the guy who also wrote at a medium pace.
That's so true, though.
Which we all contain multitudes, you know?
Well, yeah. Well, Adam Sandler is also excellent.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, people really don't. For a long time, people just didn't give him the credit he deserved, but I kind of love the idea that he just went on vacation with the studio's money. They were like, what do you think about this script? He's like, I don't know. Can I film it in African safari?
Can I give all my friends Bugattis?
Yeah. How about in Hawaii and I'll do 50 first dates?
What an asshole.
Yeah, what a dick. Yeah, he just took billionaires' money.
Well, it's like like in 1995, the 20th season was supposed to be the worst of all time, and now you look at that like the golden age, and all it took was, you know, a quarter century of pure shit.
Well, yeah.
And then you come right back with Uncut Gems and restore everybody's respect in you.
That's what I love about him.
That's the thing is like he makes 10 pieces of 10. He'll do like a decade of pieces of shit, and then a prestige movie just.
Well, yeah, he'll do Punch Drunk Love, and you'll be like, oh yeah, he's really versatile, and then. Then he'll do
Jack and Jill.
Yeah, playing Twister with your sister.
Which is Matt Holt had a great story where he was at what is the Quentin Tarantino movie Inglourious Bastards, and this guy goes, that is the worst movie I have ever seen, and he stands up and he has a Jack and Jill t-shirt on. And Matt Holt said he couldn't even control it. He was laughing so hard at the guy.
They made Jack and Jill t-shirts.
Yeah, apparently, and he's the one guy who got one. I guess he went to the premiere, which I bet Adam Sandler didn't even attend. But yeah, Uncut Gems was so good. That was one of the, oh man, until I lived it. Now it's just watching an hour and a half Mirror. Hopefully it ends different. Only time will tell.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, what? Did I say that out loud again? God, I have problems. Well, so let's get into Halloween, right? I'll tell you that. And Garrett must have eaten too much candy because he's not in today.
Candy sick.
Candies. He's got a candy hangover, which is what they call diabetes. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken dressed his son as Ukraine President Zelensky for a Halloween event at the White House, and his daughter wore a dress with the colors of Ukraine.
I feel like dressing as Zelensky in 2023 is like dressing as a Ninja Turtle the year Power Rangers came out.
Yeah, wearing two braids in the 1930s in Germany. Heidi Klum also dressed as a peacock for Halloween.
To the right. Camera. That's gorgeous. Right.
Heidi!
Yeah.
I was hoping those things just ate her.
She looks more like Blue Beetle.
Yeah, she's not well. She's a supermodel. They either age really well or it's just a disaster.
I don't know. I think Halloween costume parties are relatively benign when you think about the paganistic rituals that celebrities are into, by and large.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably more. Oh, wait, are we allowed to talk about that?
Get quiet.
I think it's okay. Is it okay here?
Oh, okay. Here it's yeah.
I think we're okay. There's a lot of Christians here.
Okay.
But I do have to go out into show business.
Yeah. Do we?
Oh, and her husband was her egg.
It's disgusting. Looks like a bowl of cottage cheese.
It's actually Brian Stelter. I wrote a book. Brian Stelter. Give me kisses. Give me bird kisses.
I want to know if those people just like walked with her all night and like.
Oh, they probably did. I
Like,
mean,
what do you?
fashion and Halloween. I like Halloween.
That's what remember. That's what a alien from the movie Cocoon would look like if they really lived in Florida.
Yes. Oh, Cocoon.
Well, my favorite costume, you always have to pick a fave, and that would be these two kids. That's Ocean Gate.
Nailed it.
I think it's real well done. I think it's respectful. I think it's funny because if you're a billionaire, no one cares if you die.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting phenomenon.
Also, that costume is more well done than the actual.
That's actually true. Had they had a remote control from Sega, it may not have gone as well. What did you go as?
I went as a neglectful father writing for a comedy show.
Oh, yeah? How'd it go?
Relatively more fun than if I'd been there.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's what my wife says about most of that thing. She knows I'm not fun, so she enjoys herself.
Well, she went to Disney, right?
Yes, well, she went to Disney with her family, and my daughter, she had a Belle costume, which is cute because my daughter's Annabelle, so I get to call her Baby Belle, like the cheese. And then later on, she was Bingo from Bluey.
I saw.
Yeah,
So that's a very adorable.
yeah.
What about you?
What did I go as?
Yeah.
A demon.
What kind?
Okay, so we dressed my daughter up as the devil, and we were
Okay.
like her hellish henchmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like
Right,
that.
the chat's blowing up. Awesome. That's good. Neat.
Yeah. There's,
Should have lied.
yeah. You
Angels.
Yeah. You should have. I should have went with Mother Teresa.
She's worse than the demon.
Oh yeah, that's true. She turned out to be kind of a no good Nick.
Mm. I've heard things.
Yeah. You never know though what's real or what's fake.
Yeah, you don't. I like to reserve judgment.
I don't
Until
think you'll ever meet her.
Well, until I know more. I
At
don't
least
like.
until you get to hell.
I don't like to pop off on things I'm not particularly sure about, which is weird how I ended up in this line of work. But,
Yeah, it's crazy. Because I'm on a political channel, and I know tons about it. Tons of very well versed in this line of work.
you and everyone else in the business.
Nobody's just reading off a script. Yeah, my son was Gizmo,
He
which was
was
pretty
so
cool.
cute.
How great was that?
It was fantastic.
It's just a full blow up Gizmo costume, and he's dancing around. It was really good.
How did he see? And so I had so many questions about that costume, actually.
He said that he had to work it because it was apparently for a little bit bigger kids.
Okay.
So he had to work it where he could just see out of one of the eyes, and then he was trick or treating, and he loved it though.
Yeah.
And then after a little while, he wanted to get more candy, so he came home and changed into a blue scary bear mask, and then decided to do his last jaunt down the big candy bar street, where he was completely free of any sort of. It was completely uninhibited by a giant costume that's inflated. But it was pretty cool.
The fan inside it.
But like people had haunted houses and stuff. It was so cool. Like the Jeepers Creepers guy was chasing him down the street.
The director?
Yeah, the actual guy who made the film, the pedo. He lives 4 blocks down. It turns out we weren't even supposed to be. He wasn't even supposed to be giving out candy,
No.
and we had to call the police. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
He just came to your door because he had to tell you he lived there.
It's like that SNL sketch with Will Forte. Yeah, I'm a pedo. Is that your costume? Sort of. Yeah, we have cool neighbors though, where like they put on like one guy has it's like a butcher shop and like pigs' heads hanging there, and like Michael Myers is stabbing at you, and like I don't know, it's really cool. Like everybody kind of gets into it. And then they do the same for Christmas. It's like all overdone. And my other neighbor, who's a police chief, is like Clark Griswold, where he just his electric bill has to be like $30,000, and it's
He's
like,
a police chief. It's not.
well, it's a good point. Yeah. I also wonder how up and up he is. Or I'm kidding. I know you're on the text. No, he loves Christmas, so it's like he does the roof, the everything, and staples. Anyway, maybe it's just me. I like.
He's like Clark Griswold because they're both prone to saying racist things and alienating people they work with.
Exactly.
Has he burned every bridge also?
They both have offended a Donald Glover type. 43-year-old Michael Yafan Wen of, you read it, Matt, I don't care.
Michael Yafan Wen of Manhasset, New York, was arrested after he allegedly pointed a gun at a 6-year-old's head. The boy had dropped off a Halloween goodie bag at the wrong home and went to retrieve it. He was charged with menacing and second-degree endangering the welfare of a child.
Look at that smug face, too.
Let me see it. Let me see it again.
Bring it back up. He looks happy about it.
Well, was the gun loaded? That's important.
He doesn't look happy. He looks shit-faced.
Oh, wait. Maybe, I don't know, half of his face looks like it's melting off, so I don't know.
Why would you pull a gun on a kid?
Well, he wanted them to get back to work.
Well, that's true. He had to finish making shoes. Pumpkin spice is racist. The Washington Post recently claimed that pumpkin spice is racist. The article states that the spice is fraught with colonizer histories. This is a reference to how the Dutch East India Trading Company conquered an island of access to nutmeg in the 1600s. This is what no one would know. No one in America is smart enough to realize this historically. The article also acknowledged that if we didn't consume food that hadn't been touched by slavery and indigenous displacement, we wouldn't be eating a lot of food.
Well, it's great. Pumpkin spice lattes are racist. Drink black coffee like a grown-up, all right?
Yeah, have some tea.
Well, it doesn't even sound racist to me. It sounds like a melting pot, you know? That sounds like cultures coming together. And the thing about it is too, it's like, I don't believe the person who wrote that believes that. I think the only hate coming there is the hate clicks from the people who read this shit just to see it for themselves, don't you?
Yes, of course. Who would actually
believe? Cottage industry of insane bullshit, so people like us can talk about it on shows. So thank you very much. Keep doing it.
Well, first of all, I didn't go and buy Ugg boots and a fur coat so I couldn't drink pumpkin spice lattes. You know how I basic bitch all winter. What else am I supposed to do?
I think that this is an attack on white women.
With your tech vest wearing husband who's fat and you're too attractive for?
That's correct. Yeah. In my Range Rover that has a BLM sticker on the back, but I would never drive through those neighborhoods. It's not a thing.
Yeah, hey, it has no home here, but it does visit for coffee.
What food hasn't been touched by slaves? The crop. I mean, currently.
What phone that you wrote that article on wasn't either.
Right. Yeah, I guess if you're talking about modern, what piece of clothing are you wearing? I mean, these weren't people.
That phone was made by a guy who pulled a gun on a 6-year-old. All right.
If I'm not mistaken, weren't at least the kids allowed to play back in those days? Like the ones now just go right into the business, whether that be the human trafficking, the shoemaking industry, the phone making industry, the pumpkin industry.
They make the little pumpkins.
Little pumpkins. You're right, though. It's a nonsense article, and we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I also hate pumpkin spice.
Do you?
I've never. What is it?
What?
I'm aware it's pumpkin spice, but pumpkins are not spicy.
That's such a good point.
So why would I like it? It's a nonsense food.
It's pumpkin flavor and spices, like nutmeg and cardamom and stuff.
Do you really think a lot of slaves were enjoying pumpkin spice? Is that a big thing back on plantations?
No.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Is it too much slave talk? Because they brought it up. I'm just saying, I didn't. All right. Everybody wants to be quiet now. I think I've made a very good point.
I think you have. Yeah. I both like pumpkins.
All right. Tyson Foods is partnering with Protix, a Dutch bug protein company, to bring insect farming to the U.S. using livestock waste as feed. The bug protein won't be used for human consumption at this point. Instead, the facility will use animal waste from Tyson cattle to feed black soldier flies, which will then be processed into food for pets, livestock, and fish. The facility is set to open in 2025. So, while we're not quite at the eat the bugs stage yet, we're one step closer to it, and it might look something like this.
Hal, remind me to get lunch meat on my shopping list.
I've added bugs to your shopping list.
No, not bugs. Roast beef, turkey.
Your family will eat bugs now. They are healthier.
Okay.
That's what our show looks like when you put time and money into it.
Just going to say. I remember it was my money. I'm out of it now. If you want to donate, you can go over to youtube.com/@DT Landau. Feel free. Please.
Please.
Please put money there.
You never lose when you bet on yourself.
Yeah, bullshit. It's the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life. I know, that's true, kids. You never lose when you bet on yourself. That's a very true thing, unless you're anybody who killed themselves when their business failed. So anyway, on Saturday, speaking of people found dead, Matthew Perry was found dead in his home in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. The person who called 911 said he was... What a terrible transition.
Yeah, you were a little too upbeat for that.
I didn't mean to be upbeat because it really is sad. The person who called 911 said he was completely underwater in the hot tub. Thanks. That person has not been officially identified, but sources say it was Perry's assistant who pulled his foot off his head. No cause of death has been released, but he tested negative for meth and fentanyl, sources say. Prescription drugs were found at his home, however. We don't know what ones. Obviously, we don't know the circumstances around his death, but he's been very open about his struggles with addiction. Here he is, which we do know. We know that, I don't even know I'm reading off that thing. We do know that he was a recovering alcoholic. A lot of people speculate that he may not have been in recovery. You don't know. He had his issues, huge demons with alcohol, huge demons with Vicodin, pills, all sorts of problems. He grew up with a bit of a silver spoon.
Yeah, he most certainly did. I didn't really know that. I didn't look into his background until after he passed away, but I was reading his father was an actor.
Yep.
His stepfather is a famous news personality. He was a nationally ranked tennis player. Yeah, which generally speaking...
Yeah, well, you don't really meet a lot of people from the hood. That, I mean,
you meet two.
There's exactly two.
There's exactly two.
And their dad really worked on it for him.
Yeah.
And then Will Smith got an Oscar and was never asked to come back. Here is a 2013 interview where he was debating author Peter Hitchens on addiction.
I'm a drug addict. I'm a person that if I have a drink, I can't stop. And so it would be following your ideology that I'm choosing to do that. I'm choosing...
That's exactly not my ideology, it is my belief. Yes, you do choose.
It is, and it's a belief that you wrote in your book, correct?
You have a choice over whether you drink or not. You have a choice over.
But your book is the only book in modern times that has this ideology. Yeah. So doesn't that teach you something?
Well, quite often unfashionable ideas are unfashionable because they are unpopular with influential people. Doesn't necessarily bother me. You tell me what the objective diagnosis is to establish the existence of addiction in the human body.
It's an allergy of the body, and it's an...
Allergies of what?
We're supposed to be grown men here, and you're making faces like the guy who's wearing the pants that you were talking about earlier. I'm expecting you to come out in the pants in a minute. It's an obsession of your mind and an allergy of your body. So this is what happens to me. I start thinking about alcohol, I can't stop. I can't stop thinking about it.
And what's the objective physical proof of this inability to stop?
There's considerable proof this is partly a genetic problem, isn't it?
Your argument is that it's willpower, Peter.
Of course it's willpower.
No, it's not willpower.
People constantly stop both drinking and taking drugs.
You're just a person who's talking who's
why
wrong.
does this conversation need to take place on the
your
entrance
part
ramp
not
of
to do it now?
WWE SmackDown?
I'm in control of the first drink, and so I do all these things to protect myself.
In a few
from not
minutes,
having
Matt
the
does
first
get hit
drink.
with a chair.
But once I have that drink, the allergy of the body kicks in. This is all documented.
Also, I believe his
alcoholism
eyebrows
proof.
are wrestling twins.
Then I can't stop after that.
Our problem with
Allergies of
Peter.
what? I mean, I'm allergic to aspirin, but it doesn't mean.
All right, Mrs. Doubtfire, your
Peter,
thoughts?
Yeah.
But you have to look at the evidence, Peter.
That is
What is this? What is this allergy? It's
an allergy of your body.
It's just.
Not that your aspirin point wasn't.
pseudoscience.
Not that your aspirin point
Babble.
wasn't genius, but you don't know what you're talking about.
That's right.
Well,
Dave, your thoughts?
Well, I would have to agree with the guy with the silly eyebrows. I think clearly he's been through it, and obviously has a lot to say. I think there's a lot going on. If you want me to be perfectly honest, I don't know how he died, and I think a lot of people do obviously speculate. I think immediately jumping to him in a shirt wearing a vaccine thing is there's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm. There is a reason for it. There's a soap opera actor who was 50 years old who passed away who seemed to not struggle with the same problems. Eva Longoria's ex-husband this weekend. And I'm afraid to say that because I want to keep the show on YouTube.
And I want to keep the show on YouTube as well. And it's like my accountant just died over the weekend.
Yeah. Your friend died a week ago.
And my other friends have died this year. And there's these things that
I knew a married couple who were parents who died within a month of each other. You know, neither of them were healthy either. One of them had cancer, but it's speculative for me. There's these other factors, but I'm like, I don't exactly know if you're unhealthy, if that helps things, you know?
No, and I think he was unhealthy.
Yeah, this is a guy who clearly put a lot of miles on his body.
Yeah, and I think that. So I think there is speculation, and I think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily. You would go to relapse, but you see these pictures of him with his dad a couple days before, and speaking as somebody who has struggled with addiction and alcoholism, I don't really see you hanging out with your dad 2 days before because, like he said, when his mind goes to alcohol, you don't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah.
When you decide to relapse, you plan it in advance. You decide to do what you're going to do, and you do it. It's not something, and it's even a seed. It's a seed that you'd go, okay, I think I'm going to do this, and then you slowly plan it, even though the other side of your brain goes, you're not going to do it. You're lying to yourself. You're just slowly planning exactly how it's going to happen, and then you let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it works. And I just don't see that, and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'd like to know how he passed, and I feel very bad for his family. I feel very bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's right about addiction, and I think they're both right. You know, Robert Downey Jr. came out and said something very important. He was a horrible drug addict, and he had gone to prison and everything, and he said it did come down to a matter of choice. But you have to hit a certain amount of hell to make that choice. And he hit that point where it was that really the choice comes down to how bad are you willing to feel? How much are you willing to take? Because it really comes down to, like, do I decide to live or die?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the choice you make. And that's it. Like, because you can't live with it. If you have those problems, you're either going to suffer and die. Because, like, Tom Sizemore, that's not a life.
Mm-hmm.
You have a brilliant actor who just struggled and was a shell of the talent that he was for so many years. And you have people that we know. And I think that's the sad part is, yes, it does come down to a matter of choice, but the allergy that he's discussing is the obsessive thinking. When it comes down to it, is the obsessive relief, the obsessive need for it, the inability to stop. And it's so easy for people to say, well, you should just be able to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was that easy.
Well, geez, I've never been addicted to anything else, but it's like I try to quit caffeine for like a week every year, and it's been 2 years. I haven't pulled it off yet.
And that's a tough one too, though. That's not even anything that I would necessarily say is easy.
Yeah.
I quit caffeine for 6 months, and then one day I had to do morning radio, and I was like, I couldn't help. And then
then you realize what a powerful drug is. It actually is when all your adenosine receptors have come back, and you're like, my experience with that too is like, well, I don't want it to lose that effect again, but I just can't do it.
Right. And now I can drink a nitro and fall asleep 2 hours later. And I'm like, that's not good.
No.
What about you, Angela?
Well, I definitely think a lot of things that you're saying are right about the relapse point, especially. And I can say that as somebody who actually had a lot of time sober and relapsed this year. So it is a choice, you know?
Well, that's really brave of you to come out and just say that in front of everybody.
Well, you know.
But I mean, but at least you're being honest.
Yeah, that's what you have to be.
And the part too is that your relapse is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you do, and Matthew Perry says in that interview, I am responsible for the first drink. You are.
Yeah.
You're sober and you've made the choice. And I understand that feeling in your head it's so overwhelming, like the way that I describe it, because like my good friend, his little brother has struggled with addiction for so long, and I helped him get clean, and he's clean now, but, you know, it took a lot of times, a lot of pawning watches and a lot of, you know, stints and a lot of pain. And what it came down to, I said, I'm like, it's like somebody jamming a screwdriver into your head, and you know this one thing is going to stop it. I go, that's how your brother feels. And a lot of people will just never have empathy for that. And you have to, and as an addict, you just have to deal with that. Well, people just won't feel bad for it, and that's fine.
Well, it's not just a mental thing. It's a physical, chemical dependency.
Yeah, and I mean, when you see people strung out on a street, hooking, doing these things, like, especially when you see like videos of people just naked, itching themselves in the middle of an intersection in New York City, no one wants that life.
Yeah.
No one. So the idea that's not some sort of malfunction that got you there, like that, like at that point, you're so broken. Like the quitting is so painful, you will die. And as somebody who, I was a teenager when I was shaking from alcohol and losing, like I could have died from alcohol withdrawal as a kid. So I have a tremendous amount of empathy for him. And I have a tremendous amount of empathy for him because he was somebody who was open about it. And he looked really bad.
Yeah.
Last year when he was coming out with his book. I know it was fairly difficult to muscle through, I heard, you know, because it destroys your brain. I know it destroyed mine.
Well, I mean, his colon burst.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, his weight had yo-yoed, his colon burst. He had when they did that reunion, he was loopy, but he said it wasn't because of addiction. It was because he had just had surgery. It just had
dental implants.
Yeah, dental implants. And I mean,
well, you're going to question it. You're going to go, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Then that's the problem. And it seemed that Jennifer Aniston was very kind to him above, and not, you know, in a ranking system, but she was always reaching out to him and checking and seeing if he was all right. And it seemed that he did want to make a life of helping people.
Yeah.
And that's why I find it so odd that he just dropped dead in a pool or in a hot tub.
Well, I mean, he said he wanted a wife, he wanted a family, he wanted kids. He even didn't care if they were somebody else's kids at this point because he had a good relationship with his stepfather. And it just seems like a guy who, and I mean, this could be wrong of me to say this in a way, and I'm not judging him for it either, who might have started life on third base compared to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a thing that he wrote about how he was driving through the desert one time, high on pills, and he was so euphoric. He's like, if I survive this, I'm definitely doing this again. And I just feel like this is a guy who just had this emptiness his whole life, who is kind of chasing some sort of meaning, you know, and that you don't get from fame, money, material success. Because I was even reading about the guy's real estate properties that he had sold off. You know, he sold off 35 million of them last year for and they said a modest $8 million home in the Pacific Palisades. And I'm like, well, modest is relative. But.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's money that's 90s sitcom money that will never be seen in television
yes,
again.
my 4-bedroom in Kissimmee, you know.
Yeah, it's just totally, just a small, modest Malibu beachfront. Yeah, you just don't. It's money that was made too at a time on TV where I think he was
that will never happen again.
And people forget he was in movies when he was very young. Like he was in what's called The Adventures or something of Jimmy Reardon with River Phoenix. Yeah. So I would assume he was using heavily then, just by.
Oh yeah, he said he was using heavily since he was 14.
Yeah, so present company. I mean, he's using with somebody who died outside the Viper Room. Yeah. At a time where it was chic. So it's a guy who, and I know by somebody who trashed their body as a teenager, and I don't know. I feel very bad for a lot of the people who go through all this, and I think it does have to do. Dan on Drinking Bros wrote a good article about soldiers and suicide and about losing your sense of purpose. And I agree with him on that because, and I don't know for being a soldier, and I don't want to speak for any soldiers out there. I just mean the idea of losing your sense of purpose, because if you do have a sense of purpose, and a lot of times it's like what you said about having a child. Like you said, Michael Myers had a kid, and it's a different thing. And you having a kid, and me having a kid.
I have such a sense of purpose now. It's incredible. It's like when people they talk about it a pejorative way in our culture, where it's like, oh, you don't want to have a kid because you won't be able to do all this shit. I'm like, I didn't have a kid until I was almost 40, and I was like, that life was bullshit until the day my daughter was born. I was like, what the hell? What was I doing with all that freedom,
Yeah, and I don't think, I'm sure, Angela, you're a new mom.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that feel?
Amazing. Yeah, when you were talking earlier about I just can interject, that euphoric feeling he had. I left my wife and daughter this morning, and it's not because I left, but I'm like, I had that
for cigarettes.
I had that after an energy drink driving to
police told me I had to.
Driving to a Park and Go because I adore my wife and daughter so much. But I'm sorry, Angela.
No, I feel the exact same way. Yeah. It was just like, I got married and had the kid later on. Like I always wanted to wait for my 30s because I knew I was a piece of shit in my 20s, and it's just like I wasn't ready for it. I was selfish all the time, and it's just like now, I can't imagine being happier than I am right now, and because of her. And it was like I didn't think I wanted kids for most of my life.
Well, and I'm also somebody who just lived in just a stew of regret constantly and second guessing every decision.
You did.
And not to an extent that I don't now, to even about lunch and stuff, but I wouldn't want to do anything different if it made my daughter different in any way.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I've thought about that too. It's like if you could rewind and change time. Yeah. But you couldn't guarantee your son. It's like, then why would I wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want a different daughter with my wife. I want her exactly the way she is.
That's
now.
what I mean. Yeah. There's nothing that you could ever change. And I think that's the reality is a lot of times your purpose is just something that you don't realize. And it's the selflessness of bringing in someone else. And that's not for everybody for sure. But I mean, I think that the fact that his addiction made it so he died extremely wealthy, but alone in a hot tub.
In an infinity hot tub, yeah.
Supposedly
overlooking,
living the life. Yeah.
So well loved, and ironically on a series called Friends, completely alone. Yeah. Shows you the power of addiction and the power of completely losing your sense of purpose.
Well, it just also shows you how hollow that world is, how unfulfilling it is, really.
Because nothing...
Which makes me feel better about myself.
No, it certainly makes me feel better about me. I've had my ups and downs.
Uppers and downers.
No, and
you never needed that half hour after all.
No, it's fine. Empty promises. I could fill a pool with them. But I don't care, though. I mean, my son is all that matters to me. Like, being able to be there on Halloween for, like, like, I couldn't be there on Halloween before. It was last year, the job wouldn't allow me to be, even though that was really important to me. And I get that. It's a job. So it's like, whatever, the year before, same. But it's like, before that, it's like maybe I had to tour and I had to leave that night. And it's like, that sucks. And it's like, I finally got to be like, you know what? I get to go.
Yeah.
And I get to have all the kids in my house. Yeah. And I get to see, and I remember that. I remember just when my son was born and dressing him like a shark on his first Halloween and him having no idea what it meant, but it just meant the world to me, And then finally, once he started to get it and how much he enjoyed it and how much, and as time goes on, like, you realize, like, that's everything to you is this other person. And my friend, I shouldn't say friend, he's an acquaintance, but I'm doing a fundraiser, actually. It's be December 1st in Clinton, at the Clinton Inn in Clinton, Michigan. His son has an inoperable brain tumor. And where all the money obviously goes to them and everything. And it's like, if you're able to be there in Michigan, and it's like, when I saw that, it was just so devastating because I'm like, that's everything to me. And I think a lot of times you look at somebody like Matthew Perry, like I said, I think you lose touch with everything important and valuable. And I think whether it's social media or fame or what you think other people think of you, so many people wait until it seems to be that last moment of their life to realize what's important, and I don't want that to be me.
Well, to me, he seemed like a guy who was trying really hard at the end, but he's, like I said, he'd put too many miles on the instrument.
No, I agree. And another
vehicle.
And I mean, another example of that is this movie right here, and two great talents that were lost too soon.
Oh.
Chris Farley and Matthew Perry, in what I think is a very underrated movie.
It's a great movie. Almost Heroes.
Still never saw that one. And Christopher Guest directed it too.
I like that movie. It's his whole shit pudding speech you'll enjoy.
All right. I'll make a point of it.
But it was one of those movies that just didn't do well for some reason. And
it could be because he just died of a drug overdose.
Well, but that gives you an idea. Like,
over
look
the whole
who's
thing.
hanging out with each other. I mean, this guy hung out with partiers.
Yeah.
And I really do feel bad for his family, and I feel bad for anybody who dies of anything. But when it comes down to addiction, like we were just dealing with in that conversation, a lot of people will be closed-minded to it and go, well, how's it a disease? And it may not be, but it is. I think when people say that, they need to realize it's an obsessive disease of your mind.
Also ask yourself, like, are you addicted to nothing? Come on, I think you might be.
Everybody's addicted to something.
Yeah, if it's coffee, what else is it for real?
Yeah.
It's candy.
Yeah.
Is it porn?
Yeah.
What gets your dopamine going?
Yeah.
Is it slot machines?
Is it just
on your
staring
phone?
at that fucking phone?
Yeah. Are you one of the people that would play Candy Crush until your fingers and anus bled?
Yeah.
And I'm not even kidding. That's a real, like,
Why
it
does it make
happened.
your anus bleed?
Because you sit on the toilet for so long that your body's giving out.
I thought you were like clenching
No, like
so
people
hard.
were like going to the hospital because people would break their thumbs playing Candy Crush.
What were they trying to avoid?
I don't know, but you're avoiding something in your life. You're like, I'm busy.
You can't hurt me if I'm playing Candy Crush.
I'll be out in a minute, Dad.
What, you mean their ass didn't just dry out from sitting there so long and then it cracked like the skin on
that's what I think. Yeah,
it just fell out.
Yeah.
I just don't think you're supposed to sit that long. You're basically just Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon 2.
They say that's how you get hemorrhoids.
Is sitting too long?
Sitting too long on the toilet, yeah.
I think you're right because I've now made an effort not to do that, and it's helped.
Oh.
Because when I first used a bidet, it was like someone was stabbing me. And now it feels heavenly.
Delightful.
You should come over and try it.
I'll pass.
I sometimes use it as a drinking fountain.
It's great value.
Yeah, it's good. You can use it as both. Sometimes I put toothpaste all over my teeth. Smile big. And then just spray my bidet all over my face. And then I look in the mirror and I go, no one loves you.
You go, I ain't shit.
I ain't shit. Oh, well. I don't think we have much time left, Matt. On this planet.
No, neither of us.
The WH.
Probably me first because it'll be ironic.
Yeah, it's like,
That's
he was
true.
so healthy. He took such good care of himself. Of course,
really
he's the first to go.
It'll be really funny when I live to be 108.
Yeah.
But it'll be really painful. I already like.
Oh,
Kill me.
Oh God, you're gonna be a wreck.
Dude, I'll kneel down now to like put to make money. I'll kneel down now to like put
Save your house.
Look, I need. It's just a short movie, but I'll kneel down to like put clothes into my luggage, and the pain is like excruciating in my one knee. And I'm like, this isn't good. At 41,
I threw my back out changing a diaper.
did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you work out all the time.
It wasn't. I mean, it was just the angle. I had to change it on a bed instead of we were traveling in a hotel, and it was a lot lower than the counter with the diaper pad on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it was an unnatural angle. It's like trying to deadlift. I should have arched the back, but instead I rolled the back, and yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I never had that problem.
No, I have a deadlifting injury too. So yeah, if I do one foot wrong, I have sciatica for a week.
Yeah, I have like 3 deadlifting injuries.
I've got like 4.
Yeah, like we're always deadlifting.
Well, I'm not bragging. I'm saying I was so shitty at it.
No, I know you're not bragging.
No.
I've met you. He's bragging. He looks in the mirror at himself a lot. The way he lifts weights it's weird. And
You do it like American Psycho.
He does. We've made the joke 1,000 times. There's just no girl.
I'm like Eric Roberts at the beginning of Star 80.
That's a pull.
Yeah, but I got
a great one.
I'm the least put together vain person you'll ever.
That's
meet.
what I love about you. Like you shouldn't have vanity, but you do, and it makes no sense to me. Like he will talk about how handsome he is, which he is. He's adorable.
Yeah.
But it is funny when he mentions, he's like, well, I'm a good-looking guy. But then in the next
I thought that until I saw myself on this show, and I'm a ghoul. Gee.
Then he'll call himself a piece of crap for 20 minutes straight, and I'm like,
I look like a good-looking guy who died a few hours ago. That's what I.
But then he'll say the worst thing to me. And I'll be like, thanks.
But it's funny.
Yeah, of course it's funny. We always say bad things to each other. That's what makes us friends.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just very real. No, but it's what makes us friends. All right. My plugs are up first, so I'm just going to do them. And because you're with me at a lot of the dates. All right. You can see me tomorrow night and Friday at the 8 p.m. shows at Little Boy at the Mothership in Austin. Just going to be doing some short sets there if you want to come by. Also, I will be at the Liberty, Ohio Funny Bone November 10th and 11th. I'll be at the Comedy Cove in Springfield, New Jersey, November 17th and 18th. And Matthew McClowry right here will be joining me at the Improv in Tampa, Florida, November 24th and 25th. Ooh. That's Old Turkey Day weekend.
Yeah, a little dessert after your turkey.
That's right. You can have your turkey and a little bit of...
the combo.
Yeah, we can dump some gravy on it.
Mm-hmm.
Turkey and baby gravy with Davy.
Gross.
I know, right? You don't want to have that twice. Last year we did.
I haven't heard it called that in a long time.
Baby gravy?
Yeah.
I have a baby gravy boat.
It looks like a baby?
No, it's just a gravy boat filled with my...
Oh, you
it's
just
not
ejaculate
important.
into it?
I save it.
Put on a pilgrim hat and
I do my own Got Milk commercial for $5 on OnlyFans. Again, that's at the DT Landau if you want to leave me anything on YouTube.
And OnlyFans.
And OnlyFans. I do a wonderful trick with a banana. I peel it with my anus. Matt, your plugs?
Yes, please. All right. Long tail on the end of that kite. All right.
Gross.
I'll be at the Orlando. Sorry. All right. I'll be at the Orlando Improv with tomorrow's guest, Vincent Oceana, this Sunday, November 5th. Also, I'll be headlining Bonkers in Daytona Beach, Florida, November 17th. And like we said, featuring at the Tampa Improv with Dave, November 24th and 25th.
And now we bring you to End of the World. Would you buy a house that someone was murdered in? Because JonBenet Ramsey's house is for sale. Look at that. What's it going for?
6.3 million.
Seriously? In Boulder?
Yeah. It's a gorgeous house.
Wow, I didn't
They
know
redid
Boulder...
the basement too. You can hardly even tell a little girl died there.
Yeah, you can. Did they redo the walls? Because I know they had to open them up.
It looks like a grotto now. It's like stone walls. They turned it into a wine cellar where she died.
Oh, that's nice.
It's nice.
Ugh. There was a lot of whining before.
Oh.
Sorry, it's a dead child joke. Not that I find that funny. I'm surprised that Boulder's that much though. I lived in Boulder 20 years ago.
It's like a famous house. And, the prices everywhere are up.
Oh, that's true. I mean, it was a renter's house, but we went by that home. It couldn't have been like that at all. I mean,
Being
2002.
Told that Boulder is very expensive.
That's what I heard, yeah. But even 20 years ago, I bet it was like 5% of that. Maybe not that, but then again, it was a very rich girl, and we stayed with her. I didn't technically live there. We just sort of forced ourselves into the home and stayed there partying. And I also flicked a cigarette out the window, and there were a lot of fires that summer after that. I don't blame myself. So would you buy a house someone was murdered in, Matt?
I'd buy a house where there was a double murder-suicide, but that's only because I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Nice. All right, the Chris Benoit estate. What? Would you buy a house?
Yeah, I would. I'd be interested in John Wayne Gacy's house because it has a ton of crawl space, and I am into that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and it does.
Yes. I just recently looked at one in Brentwood where it has a nice little room on the side where you can step on an air conditioner after stabbing your wife and a waiter. Oh. So, yeah, I guess I could. I guess that wouldn't be the same house. But I could. I would do that. I would definitely do that. I'd buy one where somebody was murdered. I actually had one that someone killed themselves in.
Well, if you think about it, most houses people have probably died in anyway.
And they don't tell you. There's a lot of places you don't have to. Like,
probably every house somebody's died in it.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I've seen it. Lots of them. Good night.